Diane stood near the large window of Crosspoint Station, watching ships come and go. The station floated in neutral space, a meeting place for different alien species. He wore his Earth Defense Fleet uniform, dark blue with silver trim. The uniform felt heavy today, like it always did during diplomatic events. "Commander, you should join the reception," Jiho said, walking up beside him. Jiho was his second officer, always cheerful and relaxed. "The food is actually good this time. Real Earth kimchi." Diane shook his head. "I'm fine here." "You're avoiding her again," Jiho said with a grin. "The princess has been looking for you." Diane said nothing. He kept his eyes on the stars outside. 3 years had passed since humanity made first contact with the Velith Empire. The Velith controlled most of this region of space. They were tall, with silver skin and golden eyes. They wore elegant robes and spoke with absolute confidence. To them, humans were newcomers, barely worth noticing. Except for Princess Lyria. She found humans fascinating. Doyen had first met her 2 weeks ago when the summit began. She approached him at the opening ceremony, smiling with curiosity. "You are from Earth?" she asked. "I have read about your species. You are very young in the galaxy." "Yes, Your Highness," Doyen replied, keeping his voice flat and professional. "Tell me about your world," she said, leaning closer. "I am just a military officer, Your Highness. The diplomats can answer your questions better." He bowed slightly and walked away. Since then, she had tried to speak with him 6 more times. Each time, Doyen found a reason to leave. He answered her questions with short, cold responses. He never smiled. He never showed interest. It confused everyone. "You know, most people would kill for that kind of attention," Taman said later that evening. Taman was the ship's pilot, a thin man with quick hands and a faster mouth. Royal attention means connections. Connections mean better assignments. Better assignments mean, "I know," Dion interrupted. "So why do you run away every time she looks at you?" Hannah asked. The ship's medic sat across from him in the crew quarters, studying him with her sharp eyes. Doyen stood up. "I have reports to finish." "Doyen," Hannah said softly, "we know it's hard being here," smiling at them. "But we all have to do it." "I'm not smiling," Doyen said and left. The next day, Princess Lyria tried again. Diane was reviewing supply manifests in a quiet corner of the station's trade district. She appeared with 2 attendants, her golden robes flowing behind her. "Commander Doyen," she said. "What a coincidence." It was not a coincidence. The station was huge. She had clearly looked for him. "Your Highness." He stood and bowed properly. "You are always alone," she observed. "Do you not enjoy social gatherings?" "I prefer quiet, Your Highness." "Then we are alike. I too find large crowds tiresome." She sat down without being invited. Her attendants stood at a distance. "Tell me, what is it like on Earth?" "Crowded," Doyen said. "I mean culturally. Your music, your art, your philosophy." "I am a soldier, Your Highness. I know ships and weapons, not art." "Surely you have interests beyond war." "War is what I know." Lyria studied him. Her golden eyes were intelligent and searching. "You dislike me. I do not know you, Your Highness." "You dislike speaking with me then. I have duties, which you use as an excuse to leave." She smiled, but it was not unkind. "I am not offended, Commander. I am curious. Humans usually seek favor with the Velith. Your diplomats are always so eager to please us. Yet you barely look at me. Why?" Doyen met her eyes. For just a moment, he let her see something cold and hard there. Then he looked away. "I should return to my ship, Your Highness." "Permission to leave?" She waved her hand. "Go. Doyen walked away without looking back. That evening, Jiho found him in the observation deck again. You know she's going to keep asking. Let her ask. Doyen, this could cause problems. Political problems. Earth needs the Velith to stay friendly. Then Earth should send better diplomats, Doyen said quietly. Jiho sighed. What did they do to you, brother? What did she do? Nothing, Doyen said. She did nothing. That's the problem. He did not explain, and Jiho did not ask again. The summit continued. Princess Lyria attended every event. Always elegant, always curious. She spoke with human diplomats, asking hundreds of questions about Earth culture and history. They gave her carefully prepared answers, showing her what they wanted her to see. But her eyes kept finding Doyen across crowded rooms. And every time, he turned away. On the 12th day of the summit, Yuna cornered him in a hallway. The engineer was small but fierce. Stop it, she said. Stop what? Insulting the princess. People notice. Important people. I have been nothing but professional. Professional means friendly during diplomacy. You treat her like she's diseased. Doyen's jaw tightened. I treat her with the respect her position requires. No, you don't. You treat her with the bare minimum. And everyone can see it. Yuna stepped closer. I know you have reasons. We all have reasons to hate the Velith. But we swallow it because we have to. Because Earth needs this alliance. Does it? Doyen asked quietly. Yes, Yuna said firmly. So whatever your problem is, fix it. Or at least hide it better. She walked away, leaving Doyen alone in the hallway. That night, Doyen dreamed of fire falling from the sky. The summit entered its third week. Doyen thought it would end soon, but the Velith kept extending it. More meetings, more ceremonies. More opportunities for different species to make connections. More opportunities for Princess Lyria to corner him. She found him in the observation deck overlooking the Serpent Nebula. The lights were dim, and the swirling purple and blue clouds of gas filled the window. Doyen stood with his hands behind his back, watching in silence. Beautiful, is it not? Lyria's voice came from behind him. Doyen did not turn around. Yes, Your Highness. I come here often when I need to think. She walked to stand beside him. The universe is so vast. It makes our troubles seem small. Some troubles are not small, Doyen said. No, I suppose not. She was quiet for a moment. Then, why do you avoid me, Commander? I do not avoid you, Your Highness. We simply have different purposes at this summit. That is a diplomatic answer. Give me a real one. That is the real answer. Lyria turned to face him directly. Your people want our alliance. Your diplomats smile and bow and offer gifts. They speak of friendship and cooperation. Yet you look at me with nothing. Not hatred, not fear. Just emptiness. Why? Doyen kept his eyes on the nebula. I am a simple military officer. I am not important enough to have opinions about princesses. You are lying, she said simply. I have studied humans. You are expressive people, full of emotion. But when you look at me, you show nothing at all. That requires effort. That requires control. What are you controlling? Doyen finally looked at her. May I return to my duties, Your Highness? No, she said. There was steel in her voice now, the authority of royalty. I am asking you a direct question. Answer it. I have no answer that would please you. Let me decide what pleases me. They stood in silence. Doyen could feel the walls closing in. He could feel the pressure building. But he held firm. Permission to leave, Your Highness. Lyria's golden eyes flashed with frustration. Denied. The next morning, Doyen received new orders. He was being temporarily reassigned from his ship to serve as a liaison officer to the Velith delegation. Specifically, to Princess Lyria's personal staff. Jiho laughed when he heard. She got you. This is not funny. It's a little funny, Taemin added. Princess gets curious. Princess gets what she wants. How long? Diane asked, reading the orders again. 2 weeks, Hana said. Through the end of the summit. 2 weeks of constant proximity. 2 weeks of being unable to escape. Diane closed his eyes and took a deep breath. You have to actually talk to her now, Yuna pointed out. Direct assignment means direct interaction. I will perform my duties professionally, Diane said. And he did. For the next 5 days, he served as Princess Lyria's liaison with perfect military precision. He arranged her meetings. He coordinated her schedule. He answered her questions about human protocols with exact, technical responses. But he gave her nothing personal. Nothing real. Lyria seemed to find this both frustrating and fascinating. She would ask him questions about himself, and he would redirect to professional topics. She would try to engage him in conversation, and he would respond with the minimum words required. During a cultural exchange event, she asked him about human music. We have many styles, Your Highness. The delegation has prepared recordings. Which do you prefer? I do not have strong preferences, Your Highness. Everyone has preferences. I am a soldier. My preferences are not relevant. She watched him with those golden eyes. You are the most frustrating human I have ever met. I apologize if I have failed in my duties, Your Highness. That is not. She stopped and took a breath. Never mind. On the 9th day, Lyria gave a speech to the assembled delegates. She spoke of the Velith Empire's long history. 5,000 years of civilization. Thousands of worlds under their protection. The greatest military force in this sector. We bring order to chaos, she said. We bring civilization to the wild. We have lifted countless species from their primitive origins and shown them the stars. This is the gift of the Velith. The delegates applauded. The human diplomat smiled and clapped enthusiastically. Doyan stood at attention at the side of the room. His face showed nothing. After the speech, Lyria hosted a state dinner. 50 delegates from 20 different species gathered in a grand hall. The food was exotic, the conversation carefully political. Everyone praised the princes and the Velith Empire. Dione served his function, standing behind Lyria's chair, ready to assist if needed. Halfway through the dinner, Lyria stood. The room fell silent. I have a question from my human liaison, she announced. Commander Doyen has served me well this past week. Always professional, always competent. But I have noticed something curious. Dion felt his stomach tighten. He performs every duty perfectly, yet he gives nothing of himself. He answers every question, yet reveals nothing. So I ask him now, before all of you as witnesses, to answer one simple question truthfully. She turned to face him directly. Commander Diane Earth, I command you. Tell me why you keep away. Tell me why you show me nothing but cold professionalism when your fellow humans show warmth. What have I done to earn such distance? The room was completely silent. 50 pairs of eyes turned to look at Diane. He stood at attention, his face a mask. His mind raced. He could give another diplomatic answer. He could deflect. He could lie. But something inside him broke. The pressure of 3 weeks, of maintaining perfect control, of swallowing everything he felt every single day. Your Highness, he said quietly, you ask what you have done. May I show you instead? Lyria looked surprised. Show me? The station has holographic archives. With your permission, I would like to display something. She hesitated, uncertain where this was going. But curiosity won. Very well. Show me. Dione walked to the center of the room where a holographic projector stood. His hands were steady as he accessed the station's data systems. He navigated past the official histories, past the propaganda. to the raw footage archives. 3 years ago, he said, humanity had its first contact with the Velith Empire. He activated the display. The room filled with images of Earth's colony world, New Sol, green valleys, shining cities, children playing in parks. A thriving world of 5 million people. The Velith scout fleet arrived, Doyen continued, his voice still quiet but now carrying an edge like broken glass. They demanded immediate submission to the Empire. Humanity asked for time to consider, time to understand what was being asked. The images changed. Velith warships appeared in orbit. The Velith do not wait, Doyen said. They do not negotiate. They do not give time. The hologram showed fire raining from the sky. Cities burning. People running. Evacuation ships trying to launch. This was called a necessary response, Doyen said. A demonstration of power. A lesson in obedience. Princess Lyria's face had gone pale. Around the room, delegates shifted uncomfortably. The hologram continued to play, showing destruction on a scale that made the elegant dinner seem obscene. The holographic display continued. Dion stood beside it, his face illuminated by the burning cities of New Sol. His voice remained steady, but everyone in the room could hear the pain beneath it. 5 million people lived on New Sol, he said. Farmers, teachers, engineers, children. My younger brother Minho worked at the orbital docks. He was 23 years old. He helped coordinate evacuation ships. The hologram showed the evacuation efforts. Ships rising from the surface, packed with refugees. Velith warships in orbit, weapons charging. The Velith fleet commander declared that any ship attempting to leave would be considered hostile, Doyen said. My brother kept loading ships anyway. He said someone had to. He said the children had to get out. The hologram showed a civilian transport lifting off. It made it halfway to orbit before a Velith plasma beam cut through it. The ship broke apart in silence. Debris and bodies scattered into space. Minho was on the command deck of that transport, Doyen said quietly, trying to coordinate with other evacuation ships until the very end. Princess Lyria put her hand to her mouth. Around the room, several delegates looked away from the display, but Dayin was not finished. The bombardment lasted 6 hours, he said. Velith ships targeted the cities first, then the farmlands, then the forests. They wanted nothing left. They wanted to make a point that would echo across human space. The hologram showed the aftermath. A world of ash and craters. No cities remained. No forests. No life. This was 3 years ago, Doyen said. By your calendar, it is considered ancient history. By ours, it is yesterday. He changed the display. Now it showed documents, official records written in flowing Velith script with human translations below. After New Sol, the Velith offered humanity a choice, Doyen said. Submit completely and become a client species under Velith protection, or be eliminated as a threat to galactic stability. Earth's fleet had 12 warships. The Velith had thousands. The choice was obvious. The documents detailed the terms of submission. Humanity would be allowed to keep its core worlds, but could not expand. Human military forces would be limited. Human ships could not travel freely without Velith approval. Human technology development would be monitored and restricted. The Velith called this generous, Doyen said. They called it mercy. They said we should be grateful. After all, most species that resist simply disappear. He pulled up another file. A list of species names in various alien languages. 23 names, each marked with a red symbol. These are the other civilizations that asked for time to consider, Doyen said. The Velith call them failed integrations. The rest of the galaxy calls them extinct. Princess Lyria finally spoke, her voice shaking slightly. These actions were necessary. When expanding into new regions, there must be order. Rules must be established. Those who resist endanger everyone. Diane looked at her directly for the first time since starting the presentation. His eyes were hollow but not angry, just empty. "Your Highness, do you know what happened to Nurse Sora?" he asked. Lyria shook her head. She worked at Memorial Hospital in New Seoul's capital. When the bombardment began, she stayed behind. She kept treating wounded while others evacuated. She said doctors take an oath. She said someone had to stay for those who could not leave. The hologram showed hospital footage, timestamped just before the bombardment hit the medical district. A young woman in medical uniform, working calmly while the world burned outside. The Velith fired plasma weapons into hospitals, Doyen said. Into schools. Into shelters where people were hiding. They said it was efficient. They said half measures only prolong suffering. He turned off the hologram. The room was suddenly very bright and very quiet. "You asked what you have done, Your Highness," Doyen said. "Personally? Nothing. You were likely being educated in your palace while your fleet was murdering my brother. You were studying art and philosophy while Sora burned alive trying to save children." He took a step toward her. Not threatening, just closing the distance between them. "But you represent that fleet. You represent that empire. You wear the same symbols they wore when they destroyed my world. You speak of Velith glory and civilization, and all I hear is the sound of 5 million people screaming." "I did not know," Lyria whispered. "I was taught that New Seoul was a minimal response to aggression. That casualties were light. That we were primitive and did not matter." Diane finished for her. "Yes, I am sure that is what you were taught. It is easier to burn a world when you are told it does not really count." He looked around the room at the assembled delegates. Most would not meet his eyes. "You want to know why I keep away?" Diane said, his voice rising slightly for the first time. "Because when I look at you, I see my brother burning. I see Sora's hospital collapsing. I see 5 million ghosts asking me why I smile and bow to the people who killed them." He pointed at the human diplomats sitting at their table, faces pale. "We smile because we must. We bow because we are beaten. We cooperate because the alternative is extinction. But do not mistake our survival for forgiveness. Do not mistake our diplomacy for acceptance. And do not ever mistake our silence for approval." The room remained frozen. No one dared speak. "You asked why I keep away, Your Highness," Doyen said, his voice dropping back to quiet intensity. "Because every moment I spend near you, I have to pretend that 5 million deaths were just politics. I have to pretend my brother's murder was just a necessary measure. I have to pretend that the ashes of my homeworld are just the price of galactic order." He stepped back and came to attention. "I cannot do it, Your Highness. I cannot pretend that well. So I keep away. Because the alternative is to tell you the truth, and the truth would end my career. It would damage Earth's position. It would hurt my people." He met her eyes one last time. "But you commanded me to answer. So here is your answer. I keep away because you remind me that evil often wears beautiful robes and speaks of civilization. And I am too tired to smile while watching it." The silence in the room was absolute. Princess Lyria opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. Her golden eyes were wide, her perfect composure shattered. She looked around at her attendants, at the delegates, searching for something to say. But what could she say? How could she argue with ghosts? Doyen bowed formally. "Have I answered your question adequately, Your Highness?" She nodded slowly, unable to speak. "Then I request permission to return to my ship. I believe my assignment here is complete." Lyria managed to whisper, "Granted." Diane turned and walked out of the grand hall. His footsteps echoed in the silence. Behind him, 50 delegates sat frozen, and a princess stood speechless for the first time in her life. Diane walked through the corridors of Crosspoint Station with steady steps. His hands did not shake. His breathing was even. But inside, he felt like he was falling. He had just ended his career. Possibly endangered Earth's diplomatic position. Definitely violated about 15 different protocols. And he did not care. The truth had finally come out, and the relief was overwhelming. Behind him, in the Grand Hall, chaos erupted the moment he left. Delegates began talking frantically in dozens of languages. Human diplomats rushed to do damage control. Velith attendants surrounded Princess Lyria, who still stood frozen where Doyen had left her. Doyen did not see any of this. He returned to his ship, the small courier vessel Taigak that had brought his team to the summit. Jiho, Taman, and Hana were waiting in the common room. They had watched the whole thing on the station's broadcast feed. "Well," Jiho said slowly, "that happened." Diane sat down heavily in a chair. "I expect Earth Command will have orders for me within the hour." "Probably arrest orders," Taman muttered. "You just insulted the Velith princess in front of 20 species worth of witnesses." "He told the truth," Hana said quietly. She came over and put a hand on Doyen's shoulder. "Someone needed to." "The truth does not matter in diplomacy," Yuna said, entering from the engine room. She had been watching too. "Only what helps us survive." "Maybe," Doyen said. "But I am done pretending. Whatever happens now, at least I am done lying." The expected call came 30 minutes later, but it was not from Earth Command. It was from Princess Lyria herself. She requested a private meeting. Immediately. "It is a trap," Taman said. "Probably," Doyen agreed. "Are you going?" "Yes. Why?" Diane stood up. "Because I said everything I needed to say to her in public. If she wants to respond, she deserves that chance in private." He went alone to the meeting place Lyria specified, a small meditation chamber in the diplomatic quarter. The room was simple, with soft lighting and comfortable cushions. No guards, no attendants. Just Lyria sitting on one of the cushions, looking smaller somehow without her royal entourage. She stood when he entered. "Commander, Your Highness." He did not bow this time. They looked at each other in silence for a long moment. "I should apologize," Lyria said finally, "for what my empire did to your world." "Should?" Doyen asked. "But I do not know if I can," she continued. "Because I am just one person. I did not give those orders. I did not fire those weapons. I did not even know the truth until tonight. How can I apologize for something I did not do?" "You cannot," Doyen said. "I do not expect you to." "Then, what do you expect?" Diane thought about this. "Nothing. I expect nothing from you. I just needed you to know why I kept away. You kept asking, so I answered." Lyria sat back down, gesturing for him to sit as well. After a moment, he did. "I was taught that pacification campaigns were necessary," she said quietly. "That resistance meant war. That swift action saved lives in the long term. The teachers showed us statistics, strategic assessments. Everything was logical and clean. It is easier to burn a world on paper," Doyen said. "Yes," she looked at her hands. "I never saw the faces. Never heard the names. Never knew about people like your brother or Nurse Sora. They were just numbers in reports. Casualties minimized as much as possible," the report said. 5 million is not minimized." "No," she agreed. "It is not." They sat in silence again. Outside the meditation chamber, the station continued its normal operations. Ships docked and departed. Aliens haggled in markets. Life went on. "How do you do it?" Lyria asked suddenly. "Do what?" "Continue. How do humans keep serving, negotiating, existing alongside us? If I had lost what you lost, I do not think I could smile at the killers. I do not think I could sit at the same table. Diane was quiet for a long time before answering. We do it because we are still here, he said finally. Because Captain Hyam and 60 other ships held the line at Titan long enough for Earth to negotiate a surrender instead of annihilation. Because Dr. Nari and her scientists turned our outdated technology into weapons that made your empire think twice about wiping us out completely. He looked at Lyria directly. Because even in defeat, we survived. That is what humans do. We endure. We adapt. We keep going even when everything says we should quit. That sounds exhausting. It is, Doyen admitted. Every day is exhausting. Every smile at Veloth officers is exhausting. Every diplomatic dinner is exhausting. But the alternative is giving up. And we do not give up. Lyria studied him with those golden eyes. I believe you hate me. No, Diane said, surprising himself. I do not hate you. I hate what your empire did. I hate the system that made it possible. I hate that 5 million people are dead, and the galaxy called it a minor incident. But you? I do not know you well enough to hate you. You know me well enough now. Maybe, he said. You seem genuinely disturbed by what you learned tonight. That counts for something. Does it? Lyria asked bitterly. I am one princess. I cannot change the empire. I cannot bring back new soul. I cannot undo what was done. No, you cannot. Then what good is being disturbed? What good is feeling guilty? It changes nothing. Diane stood up. That is for you to decide, Your Highness. You asked me why I kept away. I told you. You asked how we continue. I told you that too. What you do with that information is your choice. He walked toward the door, then paused. For what it is worth, most Veloth I have met do not ask questions. They do not want to know. They are comfortable with the official story. The fact that you asked, that you pushed until you got a real answer. That is something. Something small. Maybe, Doyen said. But my brother used to say that big changes start with small questions. With one person asking why instead of just accepting. He left her there, sitting alone in the meditation chamber, thinking about questions she had never asked before. Back on his ship, Jiho met him at the airlock. Earth Command just sent new orders. Doyen tensed. And? You are being recalled immediately. No court-martial mentioned yet, but the ambassador wants you off this station before you cause more diplomatic incidents. Fair enough. But, Jiho continued with a strange smile, the princess sent a message too. She formally thanked Earth for your service and requested that you not be punished for your honesty. She said truth should not be punished, even when it is uncomfortable. Diane blinked in surprise. She did what? Saved your career, apparently, Hala said. Or at least made it harder for them to throw you to the wolves. Doyen sat down slowly, processing this. Why would she do that? Taemin wondered. Because Yuna said thoughtfully, maybe the princess is asking questions now. And maybe she did not like the answers she is finding. The Taiga departed Crosspoint Station 6 hours later. As they pulled away, Doyen looked back at the massive structure floating in space. Somewhere in there, a princess was learning that her empire was built on graves. He did not know if it would change anything. Probably not. One person could not shift an empire, but Minho had believed in small starts. In people who asked why instead of accepting, maybe that was enough to hope for. 7 years passed. Doyen stood on the bridge of the battleship Incheon, now wearing the insignia of a rear admiral. The promotion had surprised him. After the incident at Crosspoint Station, he expected to spend his career in obscure positions. Instead, Earth Command had slowly elevated him, giving him larger ships and more responsibility. Perhaps because Princess Lyria had kept her word. She had protected him from the political fallout, More than that, she had continued asking questions the galaxy had noticed. "Admiral, we are receiving a priority transmission," the communications officer reported. "Source is Velith Imperial Fleet, encryption level Alpha." "Put it through," Doyan ordered. The view screen shifted to show a Velith command center. But instead of a military commander, Empress Lyria appeared on the screen. She wore simpler robes now, though still elegant. Her golden eyes looked tired. "Commander Doyan," she said, then corrected herself with a slight smile. "Admiral Diane, congratulations on your promotion." "Thank you, Empress." The title still felt strange. Lyria had ascended to the throne 4 years ago when her father died. This is an unexpected honor. What can the Earth Defense Fleet do for the Velith Empire? "I need help," Lyria said simply. "Humanity's help." Diane felt his crew shift behind him. The Velith never asked for help. They gave orders, they made demands, but they never asked. "What kind of help?" Diane asked carefully. "Have you heard of the Vex?" Doyan nodded. The Vex were a species from beyond known space, moving into the galaxy like a plague. They did not negotiate. They did not communicate. They simply consumed everything in their path. "They have entered Vela space," Lyria said. 3 border worlds have gone silent. Our fleets engaged them at Kelmer Station. We lost. The bridge went absolutely quiet. The Velith did not lose battles. "How badly?" Doyan asked. 12 dreadnoughts destroyed. 37 support vessels. Over 50,000 casualties. Lyria's voice was steady, but her eyes showed the pain. "The Vex are unlike any enemy we have faced. Our weapons work, but they adapt within hours. Our tactics fail because they learn faster than we can adjust." "With respect, Empress, what can humanity offer that the Velith cannot provide yourselves?" "Our fleet is a fraction of your size." "You misunderstand," Lyria said. "I do not need your weapons or your ships. I need your perspective. The Velith have conquered the galaxy through overwhelming force and rigid discipline. It has worked for 5,000 years. But the Vex do not fear force. They do not submit to discipline. They simply evolve past whatever we throw at them." She leaned forward slightly. "But humanity survived us. You survived an empire that should have crushed you. Not through superior force, but through adaptation, through stubbornness, through refusing to die even when logic said you should." Diane understood. "You want us to teach you how to fight like the weaker side?" "Yes," Lyria said. "We need to learn how to win when we are not the strongest. And humanity knows that better than anyone." Diane looked at his crew. Jiho was now his executive officer. Hana ran the medical division for the entire ship. Taemin commanded the fighter wing. Yuna kept the massive ship's engines running. They all looked back at him, waiting for his decision. "I need to consult with Earth Command," Doyan said. "I understand. But Admiral..." Lyria paused. "The Vex will not stop with Vela space. They will consume everything. Every species, every world, including Earth. This is not just our war. It will be everyone's war soon." "I know," Doyan said. "That is why I will recommend we help. But I need authorization, of course." Lyria nodded. "I will wait for your response. But please, hurry. Every day we delay, more worlds fall." The transmission ended. Jiho whistled softly. "Did we just get asked to save the Velith Empire?" "Seems like it," Doyan said. "Should we?" Hana asked. "After everything they did?" Diane thought about New Soul, about Minho and Sora and 5 million ghosts. He thought about revenge, about justice, about letting the Velith burn the way they had burned his world. Then he thought about what Minho would say. His brother had believed in moving forward, not backward. In building, not destroying. "Yes," Doyan said. "We should help." Not for them, for ourselves. Because if the Vex win, everyone loses. Earth Command agreed. Within a week, a human task force joined the Velith fleet at the front lines. Dion took personal command, bringing with him not just ships, but a completely different way of thinking about warfare. Velith fought with massive formations and overwhelming firepower. Humans fought with deception, unpredictability, and adaptation. They hit and ran. They used terrain. They made the Vex waste resources chasing ghosts. More importantly, humans taught the Velith to think like prey that refuses to die. You cannot outgun them, Doyen explained to a group of Velith admirals during a strategy session. So stop trying. Make them chase you into traps. Make them overextend. Make them adapt to false patterns, then change the pattern. This is dishonorable, one Velith admiral protested. We do not flee. We do not hide. Then you will die, Doyen said bluntly. The Vex do not care about honor. They care about consumption. You can have honor or you can have survival. Choose. Slowly, reluctantly, the Velith learned. They learned to retreat and regroup instead of fighting to the last ship. They learned to use asteroid fields and nebulae for cover. They learned that winning ugly was better than losing beautifully, and it worked. The Vex advance slowed, then stopped, then reversed. Not because the Velith suddenly became stronger, but because they became smarter, more flexible, more human. 6 months into the campaign, Diane met with Empress Lyria on her flagship. The ship bore scars from 3 major battles. So did she, though her scars were not visible. We are holding them, she said. For the first time in months, we are actually holding them. You are learning fast, Doyen said. We have good teachers. She looked at him with those golden eyes. Why did you help us? After New Soul, after everything, why did you agree to save the empire that destroyed your world? Diane had thought about this question many times. He finally had an answer. Because I realized something, he said. The Velith who burned New Soul will never face justice. They are gone, retired, dead. The empire that did it was led by different people. Even you are not the same princess I met 7 years ago. I am not, Lyria agreed quietly. So I can spend my life hating an empire that no longer exists exactly as it was. Or I can help build something better. My brother believed in building. I think he would want me to choose that. Lyria nodded slowly. For what it is worth, things have changed. I have changed the protocols on first contact. No more demonstrations of force. No more examples made of resistant species. I know, Doyen said. I saw the new directives. It does not bring back New Soul. No, Doyen agreed. Nothing can. But it might save the next New Soul. That matters. They stood in silence for a moment, looking at the tactical display showing the front lines. You were right 7 years ago, Lyria said. About evil wearing beautiful robes. About civilization built on graves. I have spent years learning how many graves the Velith Empire is built on. And? Doyen asked. And I am trying to do better. To be better. It is all I can do. That is more than most people try, Doyen said. The war against the Vex continued for another year. Humanity and the Velith fought side by side, learning from each other. The Velith gained flexibility and creativity. Humans gained resources and advanced technology. More importantly, they gained something neither had expected: respect. When the Vex were finally pushed back beyond the galactic rim, Lyria proposed a formal alliance. Not a client relationship, but a partnership of equals. The Velith Council was horrified. Earth was thrilled. At the signing ceremony, Lyria asked to speak with Doyen privately one last time. I wanted to thank you, she said. For what? For answering my questions 7 years ago. for telling me the truth when everyone else was telling me comfortable lies. It changed everything. Did it change enough? Diane asked. I do not know, Lyria said honestly. But it changed something. And change has to start somewhere. Diane thought about Minho again. About a young man who believed in small starts and asking questions. Yes, he said. It does. They stood together, looking out at the assembled fleet. Velith ships flying alongside human vessels. Former enemies turned allies. Not through force, but through mutual need and grudging respect. It was not perfect. It did not erase the past. New Soul was still gone. 5 million people were still dead. But it was something new. Something that might be better. And for the first time since his brother died, Doyne felt like that might be enough.